There are 8 major signs you may be low in fat. However, we want to be low in the bad fats. That way we don't gain body fat or clog our arteries. No thank you. And we want to make sure we're having enough of the good fats so that way we can lose belly fat, balance our hormones, and feel great. My name's Lillie. I'm a certified nutrition health coach, and I'm on a mission to help people live their most abundant lives. Stop eating processed junk food and start eating more real whole foods. I've personally been following a high-fat, animal-based diet for the last 4 years, which has given me the health, mental clarity, clear skin, body, and energy I've always wanted, and I want you to feel like $1,000,000 too. So today we're going to talk about the good versus bad fats, 8 signs you may be low in fat, and then we'll finish up the video with my formula on how to know how much fat is enough. Fat is a critically important macronutrient that helps our brains function, our mood, our hormones, our energy levels. Though not all fats are created equally. Here's the deal. Our bodies are made up of cells, and our cells are made up of fat. And so if we consume poor quality fats, then our cells reflect this, and it overall impacts our health in a negative way. You know what I'm saying? Now for simplicity, the bad fats are pretty much any man-made, in a laboratory refined fats. These oils are often highly processed, overheated, and have been linked to damaging our cells, clogging arteries, and ultimately heart disease. So we take those ones out of the house and we stick to real fats. Eggs have fat in them, or a steak, or milk, yogurt, butter, ghee, tallow, coconuts, olives, avocados, technically nuts. I would say some of the easier to digest nuts would be macadamia, walnuts, and pistachios, though a lot of people don't tend to do very well with nuts, as nuts can cause more allergies, bloating, gas, and digestive issues. So usually I will say the safer fats are going to be any animal fats and the fruit fats. I completely forgot to mention fish can also be an awesome source of good healthy fats. Fatty fish like salmon, sardines, and mackerel are all awesome sources of omega-3s and heart-healthy fats. All right, I'm going to quickly move through the signs that people may be low in fat because I'm going to cover them in a bit more detail when we talk about the formula on how to know how much fat to eat. So the 8 signs that someone may be low in fat include having low energy, having hormonal imbalances, which includes mood swings and acne, for women having irregular menstrual cycles or even really painful period cramps. For men, this can include low testosterone and libido. Another sign could be having mental fog or difficulty concentrating. So if someone's having a hard time focusing or even memory issues, this could be a sign they're low in fat. Then there's dry eyes, as fat can help with lubrication, which ties into the next thing being constipation, as dietary fat can help move our bowels through our digestive tract. Then there's persistent hunger, followed by people having a hard time regulating their body temperature. So if someone's feeling cold all the time and they just can't seem to get warm, this could be a sign someone's low in fat. And lastly, having emotional imbalances or irritability, as fats can help us balance our overall hormones and mood. So how much fat should someone be consuming? Well, firstly, we've got 3 macronutrients: proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Now, proteins help build our bodies, build our bones, our muscles, our hair, our nails, our skin, and then fats and carbohydrates help fuel our bodies. For me to be able to do this video right now, move and groove, this all requires energy, and the energy is coming from the fats and carbs. I like to think of protein as the structure of the car. Protein builds the car, and then fats and carbs fuel. They are the gasoline to the car that help the car move. And while fats can provide us with energy, they're also vital for our brain function and our hormones. Now, in order to figure out how much fat to consume, with clients, I will usually first have them figure out how much protein they need, because once we figure out how much protein we're eating, we can kind of backtrack and figure out the fats and carbs. With protein, I usually suggest to start with 1 gram of protein for every 1 gram of ideal body weight or goal body weight. So whether someone's trying to lose weight, maintain their weight, or gain weight and build muscle, whatever weight someone would like to weigh, that's where I would shoot for in terms of grams of daily protein. For example, if I'd like to weigh 140 pounds, I'd aim to eat about 140 grams of protein. Now, some people, they do much better with a lot more protein, and other people do better with less protein than that. But in general, this is just a good rule of thumb and starting place for protein intake. The second step to the fat formula is to balance your protein with your fats and carbs. So if this hand says protein, and if this hand says fats and carbs totaled together in grams, I like to see the fats and carbs together equal to the amount of protein I'm having in grams, or greater than the amount of protein I'm having by the end of the day. For example, if I'd like to weigh 140 pounds, therefore I'm having about 140 grams of protein, then I could be having 100 grams of fat and 40 grams of carbs, and that keeps my fats and carbs equal to my protein. Or my fats could be 130 grams and my carbs be 50 grams. And again, that would be great because they're greater than the amount of protein I'm having in grams. The reason I want to do this is because the fats and carbs are our energy. And so if my protein is super high all the time, well, my body can take protein and convert it into energy, but it's a really demanding process on the body. And I'd rather have the protein do what protein's supposed to do, building my hair and my body and my bones and my muscles. And I'd rather have the fats and carbs do what they're supposed to do, which is provide my body with the energy. I should clarify too that I don't necessarily mean someone would need to have their protein equal to the fats plus carbs ratio by the end of every meal. Rather, I'd care more about my protein being equal to my fats plus carbs by the end of the day. So if one morning I had a protein shake, which is very high in protein, low in fats and carbs, well, that's okay. I'm just going to make sure for lunch and dinner, I'm more intentional to have more fats and carbs in comparison to protein, so that by the end of the day, my protein's not super high in comparison to my energy macronutrients. Now, of course, it's no big deal if one day here or there, my protein's way higher than my energy macronutrients. But if I did this every single day, then I'd likely start feeling low energy and tired and want to take a nap because my body doesn't have the energy it needs. So now you're like, okay, Lillie, I get the equation, but you still didn't answer how many grams of fat should I be having? Because if I want to weigh 140 pounds and I'm having 140 grams of protein, does that mean I have 140 grams of fat? Does that mean I have 70 grams of fat, 70 grams of carbs? How do I know how much fat to have? Well, fabulous question. First, if you're enjoying the video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more content like this, and I want to thank today's sponsor of the video, Element Electrolytes, which they just came out with a new sparkling drink, which is essentially sparkling water and their electrolyte packets, which this is a really clean ingredient brand for electrolytes with no sugar or artificial ingredients. It's a way to get more sodium, magnesium, and potassium into the diet. Both their electrolyte packets and the sparkling drinks are just a really great way to have something sweet and delicious and refreshing. But these electrolytes also are providing the body with essential minerals that it needs to stay hydrated, to regulate our heart. They helped me overcome a time when I had more eye twitching. They can help people who have muscle cramping, heart palpitations, fatigue. And so if you'd like to check out some really refreshing electrolytes, I'll leave a link in the video description where you can get 8 free additional drink mix packs with any order, or you can get those 8 free additional packets of all of Element's different flavors by going to the URL drinkelement.com/Lillie Kane. They also offer a money back guarantee. So if you try it and you don't like it, you can get your money back. All right, back to the how many carbs, how many fats question. Should I be having more fats or more carbs, or be doing like halvesies? And it really depends on the person. You can kind of mix and match. I would usually recommend starting with 100 grams of fat at least, and then you can taper up, you can taper down, but I would think a minimum of 100 grams of fat would be ideal for most people. If you're noticing you're more moody, irritable, you have an irregular menstrual cycle, you can't concentrate very well, you have dry eyes, then maybe I'd have more fats. If you're having diarrhea, or you're an endurance athlete, you're a marathon runner, then maybe you'd want more carbohydrates to give you that quick energy for your performance. I'll use me as an example. If I have way more carbohydrates than fats, I find for me, my menstrual cycle cramps come back and I just have very painful periods. Depending on the food with carbohydrates, I may have more bloating, gas, dandruff, acne. But if I have 0 grams of carbs, well, that's where if I'm just eating proteins and fats, I find I tend to be just so stuffed and full that I can't eat enough food and I tend to undereat. And when I significantly undereat, well, then I start losing my hair, feeling cold all the time. My performance in the gym goes down. I just don't feel my best when I'm in a calorie restricted state. I've tried adding more fats, more proteins, and it's easier for me to eat more food if I have a little bit of carbohydrates to stimulate my appetite and keep me eating more food. Now, if someone's trying to lose weight, they may not want to be stimulating their appetite and they want to have more fats to be keeping them more satisfied and full so they're not feeling hungry. I'm 5 foot 2 inches tall, 115 pounds, and I currently eat around 130 to 140 grams of protein, 130 to 140 grams of fat, and maybe 80 to 100 grams of carbs each day, depending on what I eat. I'm sure you're thinking right now, so does this mean I have to track my food and weigh my food on a scale? How am I supposed to know how much protein's in my meat? How am I supposed to know when to add the fats or the carbs or how much? And well, if you're feeling great and you're at the health that you want to be at, then I wouldn't change a thing. But a lot of us are pretty whimsically going about life and we don't know when we're eating or what we're eating or what our food provides us. And so I think it can be very eye-opening and helpful for people to just take a week, 1 week, and kind of learn about food. I would track my food for a week just to see, okay, when I have 2 eggs and 2 slices of bacon, what does that mean in terms of proteins and fats? If I have a chicken meal, how much fat do I have to add on? If I have shrimp, what do I have to do to complete this meal? Even just tracking food for a week, you'll start to notice a pattern and a trend that there are some foods that are very high in protein, very low in fats and carbs. So for example, shrimp, chicken breast, salmon, oysters, beef liver. These things are very high in protein, low in fats and carbs that you'll know, oh, when I have dinner tonight, I'm going to have to be intentional to add more fats and carbs. I know that if I were to have a pound of chicken breast, that's 140 grams of protein, 20 grams of fat, 0 carbs. I'd have to have 10 tablespoons of butter in order for me to keep that ratio at a 1-to-1. Personally, I'm not going to eat 10 tablespoons of butter in one sitting. So therefore, I can spread that butter out throughout the day. Maybe I'm going to have 4 tablespoons with dinner, 4 with lunch, and 2 with breakfast. And then therefore, I don't have to sit down and eat like copious amounts of butter. Or for me personally, I would just never eat a pound of chicken breast as it's too lean. So I might do a half a pound of chicken breast and a half a pound of ground beef. That way I don't have to eat just copious amounts of additional fat. Instead of butter for fat, I could have avocados, cod liver oil, chicken skins, bone marrow, ghee, tallow, bacon. So there's different ways to get fat, but I just wanted to use the butter as an example as it's very eye-opening that, wow, when I have chicken, I gotta eat 10 tablespoons of butter. That's a lot of fat I have to add. Or for people who tolerate veggies, I find that vegetables are an easy way to deliver fat, as in I can cook some grilled onions or sauteed mushrooms and mix them with bacon fat. And then that's a way to get the fat in without having to like spoonful bacon fat into my mouth. Now, if when I said I'd aim to eat my ideal body weight in grams of protein, and you're like, cool, I want to weigh 140 pounds, so I'm going to take my meat, weigh it on a scale, and if it weighs 140 grams, therefore I'm set. No. 140 pounds of meat is not the same thing as 140 grams of protein. And I talk more about this in the video that's here, Huge Protein Mistakes. If you'd like to talk more one-on-one to create a meal plan and a strategy on how to reach your health goals, I'll leave a link in the description to my coaching rates and services. I hope you guys have a happy day, and I'll see you in the next one.